Not only fire, but glaciation sculpted the mountain. Because the ice age occurred over 1 million years ago, Mount Mazama had several glaciation periods. So by definition, a glacier is a year-round ice mass that develops on the top summits of these mountains, carving out the sides, inching their way down, picking up boulders that are very large and having the capacity to shape a mountain. We see that the flanks here were shaped by these glaciers. One of the major hazards of volcanoes is the melting of glaciers, causing lahar flooding, torrential floods that can wash down into the lower canyons. And we believe that these glaciers extended 17 miles into the lower canyons. And they would have affected anybody who was nearby if there was a lahar flood. Anyone who lives near Mount Rainier knows that that is a hazard. So we also should consider that these mountains are shaped by glaciers. Two prominent glacial valleys are Carr Notch and Sun Notch. We can see that these U-shaped valleys were opened up by the glaciers. In fact, we're standing in another glacial valley, Munson Valley. So when we look at the mountain, we can think about that. Eventually, though, the mountain had reached the pinnacle, 12,000 feet tall, and the temperatures began to warm, and you can see that vegetation was able to develop on the lower slopes. Old growth forests were able to reclaim the frozen territory, and the landscape looked much like today. This was all about 30,000 years ago. The mountain reached the top of its growing period. All seemed well. Good time for an intermission. Okay. I'd also like to entertain some questions. Hopefully they pertain to the building of Mount Mazama.
How do they know the height achieved by the mountain?
That's a really good question. There are several ways. One, a very simple method, measuring the surrounding slopes, comparing that topographical overview to another mountain in the Cascade Range. And we can see from the lower slopes here that it may have resembled Mount Adams, Mount Shasta. Comparing those slopes helps. It's all speculative though. At one time we thought, oh, it's 14,000 feet, but no, we're thinking more 12,000 feet. Yeah. A lot of this is
because when you extrapolate a slight angle